Hello there, Mr. Rangga. My name is Andika Putarbiansyah and I'll be doing the fourth video project. Part 1. The first audio was a part of a lecture from a marine biology class. A teacher was teaching a class about trophic relationship in marine food chains and webs, and he opened the topic by giving a question to the class with a little bit of humor. After someone answered his question about trophic relationship, the teacher started explaining what is trophic relationship. He explained that the marine ecosystem were producers, consumers, and decomposers. The producers are like plankton that can grow their own food. The consumers are the herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores, while the decomposers are like bacteria that cycle back to the producers. Next, the teacher continued his lecture and started explaining an example of a simple marine food chain. The example was a marine food chain with a 4 trophic level. The first was the top predator, herring with a trophic level number 4. The second was carnivorous zooplankton with a trophic level number 3. This was eaten by herring. The third was herbivorous zooplankton. This was eaten by the carnivorous zooplankton, and the last one with the trophic level number 1 was the phytoplankton. The teacher then changed the topic and explained about the biomass at each trophic level in marine food chains. In short, the important thing in this topic was the lower the level of the trophic, the higher the biomass, and there will be a lot of small producers. The last topic from the teacher was about the other food chains outside of the previous example. After asking the class about the bigger fish that ate the herring, the teacher began explaining the implication of the trophic levels for the fish the humans eat. He said that the fish we caught had different aspects that changed the quality of the fish from the location of the fish, such as the fish caught in the open ocean is different than the fish caught in the coastal areas. The difference is the food chain, and with this audio ended. Part 2. The second audio was a part of a lecture from an American history class. A teacher was teaching a class about the history of women in the United States. The teacher said that women had never been in a higher class of jobs, like a president or a mayor commander, especially in a war era where the contribution from women were ignored and overlooked. But that has changed in recent years with the emergence of a new view of women's history. The teacher called it women-centered history. It looked at ways of women contribution to the history behind the scenes. The teacher gave an example of it from the contribution of Jane Addams, a lady who founded many houses for poor folks in Chicago and became the first American woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. The teacher added more to the topic by explaining the contribution approach, a perspective of studying women contribution in United States history. He said that women were an important piece of every landmark historical event. The next thing was the victims approach, which was different than the contribution approach, which focused on how men have oppressed women throughout history, instead of thinking about what contribution women have made to men or how men oppress women. The teacher said to think about what have women done in every situation. The last topic from the teacher was the understanding of women contribution from a historian named Gerda Lerner. Gerda Lerner said that women-centered history best portrays the balance of interaction between women's oppressions and women's power. Then the teacher said that as time went by, there will be more new approaches to studying the history of women in the United States. Part 3. The third audio was a part of a university science lecture on an island biogeography. A teacher was teaching a class about island biogeography from the publication of MacArthur and Wilson's seminal theory of island biogeography in 1967. The theory from them is called the theory of equilibrium in island biogeography. It said that immigration and extinction were determining the number of living things on an island. The teacher gave an example of this theory with a new island with 0 kinds of birds. A bird from the outside island that arrived on the island will establish itself, and this will increase the chances of extinction of this particular bird on the outside of the island. Next, the teacher started talking about the Krakatoa, which was famously destroyed by a volcanic explosion in 1883. Between 1883 and 1933, 34 species of birds were established there, but 5 of them became extinct. Then from 1933 and 1985, 14 more species were established, but 8 went extinct. The teacher then said that the rate of immigration declines as the island fauna matures, and as equilibrium approaches, the turnover continues. The teacher added more examples of the theory by explaining the different condition of Papua New Guinea and Bali. Papua New Guinea had almost 800 species of birds, while Bali only had about 300 pieces. The teachers said that Papua New Guinea had more species of birds because it had a bigger size of an island than the size of Bali. Another factor was the difference in the variety of habitats. Papua New Guinea had more multiple habitats and niche, so it could maintain more species than Bali. After that, the teacher gave another example by mentioning the difference in the number of species between the Tuamotus Island and the islands of Tonga, both in the middle of South Pacific. Both have the same island size, but Tonga had a more volcanic island, so Tonga had a better number. The last thing the teacher discussed was that the theory from MacArthur and Wilson can be applied to other sort of island, to other geographical areas that are isolated in some way by their surroundings. The teacher then said that in recent years, national parks or forest preservers were increasingly becoming isolated fragments in a clipped and cultivated world.